Hey everybody, PixieBrix here, and today we are going to go through a tutorial where I will show you how, well, today we are going to go through a tutorial where I will show you how to translate text. And we're going to do this with PixieBrix. We're going to build a basic translator mod, super simple. Let's dive in. Let me show you how it's done. Let's go right here, add to stage. Check all of my levels here real quick. Okay, perfect. All right. So first of all, I'm going to include the link to this in this video, but we are going to go to this tutorial page, basic translation tutorial, okay? And then just follow along with me over here. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you the basics of PixieBrix. We're going to go through a couple core concepts that are going to be really helpful as you're trying to learn how to build things. So jump right in here with me, and you will see here. First of all, what you're going to do, if you have any questions, comment on this video or reach out to our team here. You can see on this page here, we've got this little chat icon here in the bottom left. Use that. That's a great way to get in touch with our team for us to help you out if you're stuck. Also, if you're stuck, you can click this, activate this mod link here, and it's going to go ahead and activate the mod for you. So if you want to see under the hood what's happening, you can just go in your page editor and you will see it show up here. Tutorial basic translate, and you can dig into it under the hood and see exactly what's happening. So if at any point you're stuck, you can just mimic it. I'm going to deactivate it because we're going to actually build it from scratch. But that's a great segue to how did I get where I was? The page editor. This is where you build in PixieBrix. And so to get started, that's what you need to do. You'll need a PixieBrix account and you'll need to open the page editor. And the way you do that is you right click anywhere on the page and you choose this inspect action. And then from here, you're just going to go to the PixieBrix tab. You might have a lot of other tabs on here, totally fine. Your doc may pop up in the top right, like this, or in the top, top, any side. As you can see our message here, it doesn't actually work super well when it's like that. So you're going to want to move it to the bottom. And to do that, click these three dots and just move it to the bottom, right like this, and you'll be good to go. All right. So now we are ready to start the tutorial. So the first thing we're going to do is every mod needs to start with a starter brick. So we're going to define the way we want to trigger the mod. So to do that, we're going to add the context menu, which is basically when you select something and these buttons appear. So let's go ahead and do that. Click this add button up here. Click context menu. And let's just, what do we call it in here? Let's do, I think we just call it a Greek translate, right? Let's go ahead and give it a name. We'll just call it Greek translate. And you can call it whatever you want. Put the same text over here or something similar. I'm going to add an emoji at the beginning. The difference is that this title is what shows up in the context menu. So when you right click and there's like an icon there, or if you right click over here and you see that there, that's what's going to show up there. However, if you aren't doing that, or if you don't really care what it looks like, then you can just put whatever you want there. This name is a little bit more descriptive. It's what's going to show up in your mod listing panel here. All right, so that's what we're going to do. And so next we need to change the menu context to selection. So change it to selection, get rid of all. And we're also going to change these sites to all URLs. So this specifies where you can run this mod. And let's just assume we want to run it from anywhere. I'm going to click all URLs. Click remove. All right. And I've added checkpoints at each of these steps. So if you're following along from the text version, you can see what it should look like at each stage. We've got Greek translate, selection, and all URLs here. So we're ready to move on to the next step. And we can, again, confirm that if we right click, there's our action right here. But also if we right click, we can see PixieBrix Greek translate right there. And this is how we're going to trigger and initiate our mods. Okay. So clicking that is going to run any other bricks that come after that. And we've only, we haven't defined any other bricks, so that's why nothing else is happening yet. So now let's add more bricks. To do that, we're going to click this plus button right here underneath the context menu. This panel is called our brick actions panel, and this is where you add the different steps and the different bricks here. So we are going to click that. Let's see what it says next. We're going to add the HTTP request brick because this is where we are going to make an HTTP request to actually translate the text. So we find that, we click that, and you'll see we have a few things we need to configure here. We need to set the endpoint and choose the Rapid API integration. So to do that, let's go over here, gonna copy that. I'm gonna put that in this URL here. And then for integration configuration, I'm gonna click that field, and now there's a drop down. And you can search for Rapid or Translate or whatever you want here, but we want this Google Translate built-in Rapid API right here. So let's choose that one. Next, we're going to need to set the header object. So some APIs require a header object, some don't. Depending on what you're doing when you're building, you're going to want to read the documentation for the API you're working with. But this one does need a header. And so what we're going to do is at the end of this headers field, click this X and choose object properties. Okay, and to do that, click add property. And we're going to set the property name. You can just copy these values to content type and the value to copy that form encoded. All right, so that's pretty cool. So now that we've got that, next we need to set the data object. And so this is where we're actually telling the API, hey, we're giving you something to do something with. In this case, we want it to translate. So just like we did with the header item, we're going to go to the end of this row, click object properties, and we need to pass two things. So we need to pass property Q, which is going to be the text we want to translate. And we need to pass target, which is the language we want to translate to. And so you can see how I did that. I just clicked add property, type the name there. And to reference the text that we have selected, so in this case, I've got this whole paragraph selected here. To reference that, we're going to start typing the @ symbol and then input.se, and you'll see selection text appears. This is our variable popover letting you know what you have access to. So that's pretty cool to do there. For target, you can put whatever you want as long as it is a 2-letter code. You can use these to see what those are. We discovered recently Klingon is actually an option. I'm just going to do EL for Greek, but again, you can do whatever language you want there. So we're ready to move on. Once we have our URL configured, our integration set, you can see we've got the post method, we've got our header with our content type, and we've got our JSON data with Q, input selection text, and our target language. So next, let's just check that this is actually working in generating a response. And so to do that, I'm going to select some text here and click this button. And you can see here in this data panel, which is the far right panel of our page editor, I see a response object. So I'm going to click that caret, click it again, and kind of drill into what all we've got here so I can see. And I can see it's actually translated the text there and also has another property detecting the source language. So that's pretty cool. Now that we know that's actually working, we obviously don't want that to, we don't want to have to go into the page editor every time we want to see a translation. So now we just need to reference that value. So again, this checkpoint is just kind of making sure you have a response here. If you don't, make sure you're on the output tab. Make sure there's checklist here. If there's not a check mark but a red X, there might have been some sort of error. If there's some sort of error, go back and check through these steps and make sure you've configured this just like I have in this video here. All right, so next we want to actually display the response. And so we're going to create a sidebar. And so there's two ways you can create a sidebar. We'll talk about other sidebars in other videos, but in this one, we're going to talk about the display temporary information. This basically says, hey, pop open a sidebar real quick. It doesn't have to stay around for forever. I just want it to pop up right now when I run this mod. Other sidebars, they'll come up when you actually open the sidebar by clicking the PixieBrix icon up here, and you can have multiple sidebars, but these are like persistent ones. This is just a temporary one. All right, and so you see that we actually got two bricks in here. We got display temporary information and render document. So let's rename display temporary information. We'll just call that translate. And you can specify if you want it to be in the sidebar or a modal or a popover. We're just going to stick with sidebar. And we can leave the refresh trigger as is for now. Now we want to click on the render document brick in the brick actions panel. And you see that this data panel here has changed to preview what our sidebar is going to look like. And it's a nice way to be able to preview what it's going to look like and style things as we go here. So if you want to edit one of these elements, you just click on them. So let's click on the example document and change that text. You can see that once you click on something, the middle panel here lights up for you to edit it. And so click the example document. Let's rename this to something like translate. We can change the header. We can make it different sizes. We can even change the color of the font if we want, all sorts of different options here for styling. And let's now go down to this example text element. And this is where we're going to add some text, like your translated text, and then dynamically inject what we just saw in the response. So you can use text templating to do this. We've got more docs explaining how all of that works and how to inject values. And so if you want, you can just copy this right here. And you can replace the text and just paste that right there. Notice this is the path. If you didn't want to copy that, you could also go down here, click that copy button right there, and paste that right in here. You could also start typing at response, and if the mod is run, if it has that trace there, it should be able to let you parse through the different things there. So you've got that, and yeah, so you're ready to move on when your sidebar looks like this. And again, you can add emojis up here and different stuff if you want to. And this is your translated text. Looking good, looking good. Okay, so now we just need to save our mod and try it out. So to save it, go over to this first panel here. This is your mod listings panel. Click that save button. And now you are good to close the page editor. I like to sometimes leave it open for my first couple runs just in case there's any errors. But what you can do is select some text. So we could select this paragraph and then click our button here. And boom, it's now going to open a sidebar with the translated text. And congrats, if you followed along with this, you just built your first mod. You learned how to initiate a mod with context menu. You learned how to perform an HTTP request or interact with an API to send data somewhere and get a response. And then you learned how to display that response in a sidebar. So this is obviously just the beginning. There's lots more you can do with it. But yeah, I hope this helps. And if you have any questions, reach out to our team and let us know. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.